Okay, I got cut off, but this means that I erased some and I have some more room to do this next problem. So again, there's like a decent number of steps, but if you just kind of do things methodically, we're going to be all right. So we have some brackets within brackets, but there's really only one operation going on inside this bracket, and it's addition. That means we need to have the same number on the bottom before we can add them. So let's deal with that first. The first number that both 10 and 4 go into is 20. So to change 10 into 20, we times the top and the bottom by 2. And to change 4 into 20, we're going to change it by 5. We need to do that to the top as well. So we are going to be left with, I'll just write it right here. So our new, we're going to have 3 over 8, subtract 9 over 4, divided by, and then let's have our square brackets, new bracket, negative 25 over 20 plus bracket negative 2 over 20. Well, that's not a very good 2. And then square brackets. Okay, now we can add these two up. So we have a negative 25 and a negative 2. So that's going to be inside our brackets now. It's going to solve to negative 20. That's a 7. Negative 27 over 20. So now we've got 3 over 8, subtract 9 over 4, divided by our negative 27 over 20. And now what we can do is let's deal with our division next. So we are going to need to take the reciprocal of our second fraction, which is this one right here. So let me rewrite this part, at least of the equation over here. So I'm going to rewrite the part we're going to do next. So 9 over 4 times 20 over negative 27. And now we can cross reduce. So let's look diagonal, see if there's anything we can do. Indeed, there is. 9 goes into 9 once, and 9 goes into 27 3 times. 4 goes into 4 once, and 4 goes into 25 times. So now we have 1 times 5 and 1 times negative 3. So I'm going to rewrite this down over here. We've got 3 over 8, subtract, and then I'm going to have I'm going to move our negative back up to the top, negative 5 over 3. We need the same number on the bottom to be able to subtract these. So let's see. I guess the first number that each of these goes into, I think is just 24. So let's times this by 3 and 3, and times this by 8 and by 8. We end up with 9 over 24, subtract negative 40 over 24. Now remember, subtracting a negative is like adding a positive, so we are going to end up with 49 over 24. And then that can go in there 2 times. So 24 plus 24 is 48. So that's 2 with 1 left over 24. So just quite a lot of steps that you need to make sure that we're doing each step correctly, methodically, but ultimately it's just putting everything together. So just take your time. Just take your time. This last one, I will go over it as well. We need to convert all of these mixed numbers into improper fractions. So let's start with that. Let's go times plus, times plus, times plus. So we have 3 times 4 is going to be 12, plus 2 is 14 over 3, divided by, got our square bracket, another bracket, negative 1 over 3 bracket plus. Now let's go 6 times 4 is 24 plus 1 is 25 over 6. End of our square brackets plus negative 5 times 3 is 15 plus 2 is 17 over 5. There we go. Now in our BEDMAS, we do have one thing I notice that students get confused about is even though this is in brackets, there's nothing going on inside of it. It's just a way of separating these two symbols. But this bracket right here has an operation going on inside. So let's deal with that set of brackets first. And what we have is addition inside there, which means we need the same number on the bottom. So in order to make 3 into 6, let's times the top and the bottom by 2. So I'm just going to rewrite this part right here. So we would end up with, okay, I'll show it, negative 2 over 6 plus 25 over 6. That's 6. And now we can do negative 2 plus 25 is going to give us 23 over 6. And we're going to keep it as is in proper way because we can do that last step at the very end. So now we've got negative 14 over 3 divided by 23 over 6 plus negative 17 over 5. So let's do this part next because there's division. So what we need to do is flip our second fraction and make it multiplication. So now we got 6 over 23. We can't cross reduce this way, but we can this way. 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into 6 twice. So now I'm just going to solve it right here, and we'll add our negative 17 over 5 at the end. So let's go. Negative 14 times 2 is negative 28, and 1 times 23 is just 23. And now we're going to add that to our negative 17 over 5. Okay, to add this, what is going to be the first number? Oh, this is going to be so big. What's the first number that 23 and 5 go into? We need it to end in a 5 or a 0. I think maybe we just got to go 23, 5 times 23. So let's do that. There might be something before then, but can't think of it at the moment. So let's just go for it. Times 23 times 23, it's going to be a huge number. And times 5 and times 5. So let's go. I'll do it on my calculator over on the side here. I can show you. Okay, 5 times 28, though it's going to be a negative, is 140. Negative 140 over 5 times 23, 115, plus 17 times 23, 391, but it's a negative, negative 391 over 5 times 23. We just found out to be 115. So now let's add our tops. It's 2 negatives, so it's going to be negative 391 plus 140 equals negative 531 over 115. Let's see, how many times does that go into there without going over? 531 divided by 115 equals 4 and a bit. So we got negative 4. Now I can go 4 times 115 equals 460. I'm just going to write this down here for me to remember. So let's go 531 subtract 460. Get 71 over 115. I don't know if there's any other numbers that go in there, But I'll leave it at that for now. If you can think of something, let me know and I can reduce it further. Thanks so much.